All right, welcome in, everybody. It is so weird that baseball starts tonight on Netflix, a Netflix special to start the season. It's back. It's March 25th, and Major League Baseball opens up tonight. Yankees, Giants. I'm thrilled to be back with you guys. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever, and now I get to see you basically every day, man, until like the end of October. I couldn't be more excited about it. Welcome back. How have you guys been? I haven't seen either in a while. Bryan Leonard, how's everything going? And then we'll go to TB.
Yeah, everything's going well. Got to see some guys I haven't seen in a while last night. Rob Vino's son's band, Grayscale, was in town. So Ski, Teddy Savransky, Rob Vino, obviously, and myself, we were down there last night and had a good time. So it's good to finally see some faces I hadn't seen in a while.
I'm so jealous of that, by the way. I saw you guys there. I've listened to Rob's son's band. They're awesome. I was very jealous that I was not out there for that. But yeah, that's awesome. TB, how's everything in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, everything's going well. I'm always jealous of Bryan. He sends me videos of concerts he goes to, and Bryan and I actually have similar musical taste. We went to a concert together 2 years ago, as a matter of fact. So, but yeah, things are going well. Glad baseball's back. I already have tickets to 6 Japanese games out here that I'm going to be going to in the next week or so. So, my favorite time of year. Yeah, everyone, even the Royals and even the Guardians think they have a chance to win the World Series this time of year. So it's always the best time of year for baseball fans. Opening day is great. I don't like how they're doing it this year. Yeah. One game and then the rest of the games the next day. But, what are you going to do? March Madness, it's kind of overlapping with March Madness. Kind of weird scheduling, but I'm just glad it's back.
TB, my initial reaction was the same as yours in that regard. And I got to say, though, I love the fact that, they're almost doing like a Netflix special. I think it's good for the game. It's good exposure. I think it's going to be goofy to see a bunch of celebrities and WWE superstars at the opener of Major League Baseball. But hey, anything to get more eyes on the game is great. And then of course, tomorrow is opening day. And so quick programming note before we get into tonight's one game. We're going to be, so tomorrow we're back 9 a.m. normal show, the show we usually do. Today, we're going to talk Yankees Giants, the only game tonight. And then the rest of the time, we'll hit futures, questions on teams. For me, I don't really bet win totals anymore. And I got my reasons why if you want to hear about that. But it's more or less team outlook, stuff like that. And we'll do that for the remaining 30 minutes or so of the show. So that's kind of the plan. I guess without further ado, I'll go to you first, Bryan Leonard. Yankees, Giants. We have a baseball game to bet on tonight. Anything catch your eye here, side or total?
Yeah, you have to keep in mind these teams have just gotten out of spring training. A lot of them, because of the great tournament, by the way, they're not really built up. So you're going to see, normally you want your batters to take 50 at bats. And you want your pitchers to have enough innings pitched. And with that going on, I've seen a lot of coaches come out and say that we're going to start slow with this guy because he's not fully stretched out and all. So that's something to keep in mind here. Regarding this game, obviously the Yankees have not traveled west, and they're traveling west for the first time all season long. They played down in Florida in spring training, so that's something a little bit different for them. It's first travel, and it's all the way across the country. And it's a team in the Yankees who a lot of people thought disappointed last year, and they've got something to really shoot for. The Giants, on the other hand, are a team that just seems like every single year nobody expects much out of. So they're a 500 ball club, whatever. And they are a team that's done some things in the offseason, I think, to make them better. So it's an interesting handicap. And you're looking at a total of around 7 in this game. And, yeah, that makes a lot of sense based on the things that I have said. But even though this is one of the ballparks that suppresses home runs, suppresses runs for the most part, you get a couple guys on base, and both of these teams, especially the Yankees, have guys that had that ability to just get up there and make it a 3-run game right there, hit a 3-run homer. So it's kind of tough when you are playing totals under 7, unless you have bad hitting teams. Most of the time we'll see something like that when you've got like Pittsburgh on the mound with Skeens, and their offense obviously is better than it was in the past, but you figure you're only going to score 5.5 runs because of the offenses. San Francisco got pretty good offense outside of San Francisco, and the Yankees obviously have one of the better, probably top 2 in Major League Baseball. So it's interesting from that standpoint as to what you're picking from a side or total in this game. I think the side and the total pretty much what I expected it to be. So I am going to, when it gets to be time for my part of the parlay or whatever we're going to talk about later, I think I'm going to go with a prop on this game. And obviously, we're just one game on the schedule. That may be the better way to play. Everybody in the world who bet sides and totals are going to be betting into this game, so the line is going to be pretty tight.
TB, what
Can
about
I
you?
go after Brian? Is that how we're going to do
Yep.
it? Sure.
Yeah,
I got a couple of opinions on this game. Yeah, this is the only game. I think there are a lot of people who are immediately jumping on unders here. I'm not sure if that's the way to go. My projection comes out exactly at 7, so I don't like a full game over or under. The first 5 came out at 4.5, then it went down to 4, then it went down to 3.5. I would be a little wary playing under 3.5 in the first 5 because I'm projecting both of these pitchers to give up 2 earned runs each. If you look at their history against the opposite batters, Judge has done a bit of a number on Webb in his career, and Fried has also been tagged by Arise and a couple of other batters on the Giants side. So I would be a little wary going under. However, this ballpark is conducive to unders, and being the first game of the season, everyone's rested. The bullpens are 100%, and the batters are slightly rusty coming out. So yeah, everything does point to an under, but I would be wary of that. I do like Max Fried to get some strikeouts here, and I looked at his over-under at 5.5, but I actually like the alt for that 5+ on DraftKings. They let you alt the strikeouts 5, 6+, 7+. 5+ is -160, -170. I know it's a little juicy, but I'm pretty sure he can get 5 strikeouts in this game. I expect both pitchers to go past 5 innings here, so that would be one play that I certainly would think is a doable play. I broke it down in a video on WagerTalk's YouTube page, so if you want more details on that, that's one way I would go on this. I have a couple of other opinions, but I'll throw it back to you for now, Adam.
Well, I kind of agree with your Fried opinion. The Giants last year were not good against left-handed pitching, and I don't know how much they've improved in that area. So you get a lefty like Fried, someone that's had success against the Giants throughout his career. I definitely can't sort of make a case against anything you said about Fried maybe having success here. I also can't really make a case against the under, even though it's like, what I will say is that line is very tight. Under 7 does not give you any room for error. I don't think it's a good bet because obviously, there's so many sort of like things that could, it's the first game of the year. It's the end of March. Who knows how guys, sharp guys are going to be. But I mean, listen, if your 2 starters are who they are, probably going to get to the later innings with a really good chance to hit that under. That's where I'm at on both of these teams. This is probably how a lot of my early season breakdowns will go, is where I'm at relative to market on a team. And then, certainly today, tomorrow, and then Friday, it's going to be where I'm relative to where I think the market is going to be. And then after that, we'll kind of know where the market is. I think I'm a little higher on the Giants than most. I was high on this team last year, and I like the new manager. I like some of the guys they got this offseason. I still think that they're likely better than they're getting credit for. And I'm almost always going to be lower on the Yankees because the Yankees are probably, from a name, they're always going to be inflated no matter what.
Taxed.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
I mean, I made this like my Yankees minus 112. I don't really see any value on the on picking a side here. I think if you do like the Yankees though, I'd go first 5 because you almost guarantee yourself that the Giants are only facing a left-handed pitcher unless Fried doesn't go 5 innings, which is possible. But TB thinks he's going longer than that, and again, it's hard to disagree. So kind of how I'm seeing this one, no bet for me here. Yeah, it's one of many, right? It is on Netflix, but it's one of many. So, nothing for me in this game. Brian,
Yeah,
if you had something to add, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, everybody's all excited. They're chomping at the bit to bet this game. Got just about a full slate of games tomorrow, and then we got more games on Friday. Just don't lose your bankroll on betting a game just to force it because it's on TV. I'm not going to give my clients anything on tonight's game. There's much better opportunities coming up, and hey, you play 162 games in a season. No need to force anything on the first day.
Very true. There are some, if you really want to put some pizza money on some things, I generally am more successful on pitcher props than I am on hitter props. But I see someone in the comments saying under in the hits and stuff. I'm projecting both of these pitchers to give up 5 hits each. So I would be careful betting under on hits. Again, I'll go back to what I said earlier, but Judge is, I think, 3 for 7 with a home run against Webb, and Arias has even better numbers against Fried. Matter of fact, Webb, I think, went 12 innings and gave up 7 earned against the Yankees last year. So be careful betting unders. But yes, including the ballpark and including the rusty hitters, things are conducive to an under. But just, yeah, like Brian said, don't go crazy. Go crazy the day after tomorrow or tomorrow, not today.
Yeah. And also, how do you bet like a made for TV baseball event? Like, I don't really think we've seen we used to do the opening night, right? Like that was a thing for a while where you'd have like a Sunday night baseball opening night game when baseball used to open on a Monday. But this is like, this is new. We haven't really seen this before. So I'm kind of interested to see how this plays out. It's almost going to be more of a spectacle than anything, but it's a great way to start the season. Again, I'll say, like, putting baseball on Netflix, having the eyes on it, good for the game.
I will, one quick note regarding Thursday and Friday. We do have a basketball tournament going on right now, which everybody and their brother is going to be wanting to bet on. They're going to want to watch it. That gives us baseball people a better chance of making money because there's not as much money in the market. And we'll be able to see where the lines go, see where the supposed wise guys are betting. And there's not going to be a lot of people who are going to be looking to bet on the Cleveland Guardians, as you pointed out before, on a day where they've got the NCAA tournament going on. So I'm not saying don't bet this game or whatever, but the next 2 days is where we can make some money.
There are a couple little spots here that you could bet. Like I said, Judge and Arias to get a hit or a hit run RBI. Some pizza money here just to make it more fun. But like some people in the comments are saying, it's not actually a TV game. It's a Netflix game. And actually the World Baseball Classic, if I can just digress for a minute, since there's only one game, the World Baseball Classic in Japan was bought by Netflix and nobody got to watch it. And everyone was ticked off. So nobody likes Netflix in Japan. Yeah.
Wow.
Netflix Japan bought the World Baseball Classic. So if you didn't have Netflix, you could not watch it.
It's worth being a Dodgers fan, not being able to catch your games half the time.
I think the
they lost anyway. Japan expects to win it every year, and they lost it. So
I think the difference in this country is like almost everyone has Netflix now. It's almost like more people probably have Netflix than they do cable. So it's like, I actually think that the viewer, if you look at some of the Netflix viewership numbers from like the NFL games and stuff they put on there, they're very high. So I'd imagine this game does very strong sort of viewership numbers. But it's interesting. And that's very interesting, TV. I would have never known that.
Amazon Prime is big out here, but Netflix is not.
A couple more tidbits. And so here's what we're going to do. This is, we've got about 30 minutes left of today's show, and it's just going to be the chat and anything you guys want to know. So I'm going to scroll through a couple chat questions. First of all, people think the thumbnail is insane of us three. Someone called it creepy. I think that's all the Wager Talk thumbnails now. I think are like almost like somewhat caricature, like tweaked versions. So I think we're just on brand there. Someone said it was creepy though. I don't know if I would say creepy. It does look. I looked at myself. I'm like, I don't look like that.
I felt the same way. But hey, whatever. I don't know.
So Jack,
I just saw it like a couple minutes ago. Yeah. They make us look a little better than we do in real life, maybe.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean,
some of us.
So Jack Falk real quick says not everyone plays tomorrow. Yeah, they did sort of break out opening day. Opening day is almost a 2-day event now. So it's like, I do think actually, no, I don't think any teams are playing both days.
No.
I'm pretty sure everyone either plays Thursday or Friday. So opening day is essentially a 2-day thing. That's why not everyone plays tomorrow. Andy Lang, baseball is back today. It sure is. We just talked about the only game that's going to go today. But we will, we'll be back every day now, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern here for Total Bases. And then I do think that we are being incorporated somehow into the weekend programming. Whether it be, I think maybe part of Last Call, I'm not sure. But you're probably going to get a 6 days a week now. So that's something to look forward to as well. Yeah, there's someone said thumbnail's so creepy. I mean, listen.
If someone wants to buy Bryan an industrial alarm clock to wake up every day before 6 a.m., that would be a nice Christmas gift.
If you click on it, that's all that matters. So that's the goal of the thumbnail. We just need it to be clicked on. Here's an interesting. I'm going to go to Andy, and I think this starts an interesting discussion. He says best future bet for me: most wins by a team under 104.5. Now that is very interesting to me because I believe the Dodgers have the highest projected season win total at under 103.5. I think is what it was. I'm going off of memory there. And then the next team after that is much lower than that. I don't think anyone has a projection higher than 91, 90.5, 91. So Andy says best future bet for me: most wins under 104.5. I kind of want both you guys to weigh in on this. And I'll start with Bryan Leonard first, because Bryan, you were the one that was sort of last year, like, listen, the Dodgers don't really care about the regular season. So I almost sort of gravitate toward their under season win total. So unless you think someone else is going to so far outperform their win total that they're going over the Dodgers projected win total, then Andy probably has a winner. Just talk to me about that in general, and if you agree or disagree.
Yeah, the way I would play this, Andy, you've got 30 teams or whatever in Major League Baseball. Any team, you're taking your shot on 30 teams not going over the number, and it's only costing you one game. It's like we said, the Dodgers are at 103.5. The Dodgers don't care to win a lot of regular season games. We saw that last year. I believe they didn't even win the division. So I would rather play the Dodgers under the 103.5 and eliminate, let's say Baltimore is the team this year. They're a young team. They get on a hot streak. They want to continue to win. They will push for more wins. The other teams will push for more wins. The Dodgers will not push for more wins. I think that you're giving up one game on that, but you're eliminating the rest of the league. So I would play the Dodgers under 103.5, and that is something I like myself for a total anyway for myself. So that, to me, I don't want to disagree with Andy, but I think that's a different way to play it, and I think it's probably a better way to play it.
TV, you're a Dodgers guy. Are you going under with the Dodgers, or do you think they win more games than that?
Not exactly a Dodgers guy, but I do think they are a juggernaut. But I agree with Bryan. I've been burned 2 seasons in a row with the Dodgers betting their win total over. Actually put a little 1% flyer on the Dodgers to break the 2001 Seattle Mariners record of 114 wins, I think it was. last year, and they didn't even break 100. So I totally agree with Brian. The Dodgers don't give a rat's behind about the regular season. They want to keep their guys healthy, and they don't really care how many games they win. They do want to win their division. So if it gets tight with the Padres down, as it has been the last 2 seasons, the Padres have given them a run for their money in the last week of the season to win the division. But let's face it, the Dodgers don't care if they win 100 games. They care about winning their division and getting in the playoffs healthy. And last year, the Dodgers weren't even the highest win total team. I think it was the Brewers, right? Or the Tigers? Was it the Brewers or the Tigers last year? And I would definitely bet no team will win 104 games this year. I don't guarantee it's a win, but I certainly would make that bet.
Another reason that makes a lot of sense, in my opinion, is the very worst teams, the bottom teams in Major League Baseball, in my opinion, are not as bad as last year. Like, they're theoretically the Rockies could still be the worst team in the league, and I think they win far more games than they did last year. Like, they could, I mean, they're probably going to win 15 to 20 more games than they did last year. And they could still be the worst team in the league. So if you look at it like that, it's like, okay, so those wins have to come from somewhere. Maybe they come from the middle of the pack, but like they could come from anywhere. And that's 20 wins that's likely coming out of that pool of wins for someone to win more than 104 games. So, and I think, like, so I'm just going to transition this into Jack Falk saying, can we talk about the Chicago White Sox and what my outlook is on them?
I think Adam Jagger White Sox.
Well, here's the thing. I sort of pointed out last year that I liked this team, and I thought they were like pretty undervalued in the market. I was pretty much right about that, especially when you factored in like playing against the 1.5. Read a stat somewhere the other day. They were 15-36 in 1-run games last year. So that's, that 1.5, like White Sox 1.5 kind of was a great bet because there was a lot of scenarios where the money line did not win, but the plus 1.5 cashed. And on a game in and game out basis, it was almost always minus 110, minus 115, sometimes plus money. So it was a very good bet. As far as this year is concerned, though, here's what I'll say about the White Sox. I don't think they're the worst team in the American League, which is where they're priced right now. I think it's possible that they're not one of the worst 5 teams in Major League Baseball. I think there is 5 teams that the White Sox are legitimately better than this year. So my take on the White Sox, I'm going to be on them again. Relative to market, I am much higher on the White Sox than where they're being priced. And hey, some of those close losses might turn into wins. You could have a big jump here for the White Sox. You're nodding, Brian. Go ahead. Jump in on the White Sox. What do you want to say?
I mean, you just mentioned, what was it, 15-36 in 1-run games?
That's what I have written down. Yeah.
Yeah. That's normally, and you find it in hockey too, when you go to overtime and shootouts and that kind of thing. Teams that are really good or really bad in 1-run games, unless you have a terrible bullpen or an elite bullpen, like Cleveland's usually pretty good because they've always had really good bullpens. They're pretty good in these 1-run games. So you have to start off not with 15-36. You have to start off at an even number of 50%. Let's say the Chicago White Sox, let's say they're expected to win 45% of the games. Then you figure out what that number is. That's what the number should be. Then you have to look at, okay, well, what have they done in the back of the bullpen? Well, they brought in Dominguez, and he's better than what they've had. He's not great. He tends to walk a lot of people. But that's one of the ways you got to look at it. You also have to look at the runs. If your team, like last year, Houston had a winning record, and I believe they were outscored by 5 runs on the season. So you don't start with Houston's record last year. You have to start about the net runs. So basically, you would say Houston was an 81 win ball club last year. And when you do that, then you take a look at what they brought in, what is going from them, and then you decide on how many wins they should have. And there's plenty of websites out there. Fangraphs does a terrific job. A lot of the baseball websites will do that for you, so you don't have to do the research.
Brian, I want to stay with you for a second because I got a follow-up question. It's Jack Falk here. He says, White Sox won't finish last in the AL Central. Okay, that's a pretty hot take, but I don't disagree with it. My question to you is, Who is, and is it the Guardians? That's my question to you.
Why do you torture Brian like that?
I think it's a legitimate question,
That's,
TV. I want to see what his
team.
answer
It's
is.
how I pick on other guys with their teams. I think the Guardians are better than the Twins. But I do like some of the guys the Twins have. I mean, Abel, you've talked about him in the past. You're top on that. He's been great. They sent one of their better pitchers, which was one of their that sent him down to the minors. I think the Twins are going to be better than they were, but I still don't think I played Cleveland under the 78.5 or whatever it was. I think Minnesota probably wins 75. And so I would think they're in last. I actually think the White Sox will have a better record than the Cleveland Guardians.
TB, I want to come to you for this. It's kind of a follow-up to this, but we're gonna pan it out a little bit. Tim wants to know, who are the 5 worst teams in Major League Baseball? So, in your opinion, TB, who are the 5 worst teams in the league right now in your power ratings?
Okay. I didn't prepare for this question, but off the top of my head, let me first say that I don't think the Rockies are the worst team in MLB. I think that will go to the, what's that?
Me either.
Bingo?
I agree with you.
Okay. I think that honor goes to the Washington Nationals, in my opinion. You agree? Okay. So I think if we had to group them into 5, I think the one team that's risen above being a bad team is the Miami Marlins. So I don't think they're in that 5. So I would say the Rockies, the White Sox, the Guardians, Angels, probably. And I really can't think of a 5th off the top of my head, because then after those teams, I think you get into like a muck of a bunch of mediocrity, and it's who's more mediocre. I can't really think of a 5th off the top of my head, but those 4 teams pop into my head pretty quickly.
Brian, I'm going to ask you a question. Is the Cardinals in your bottom 5, and talk about St. Louis?
I forgot. They lost Nolan Arenado, and they're just going to be horrible this year, aren't they?
I hope a lot of people think that way, because I like this team. You take a look. They've got a lot of young talent. They're going to run. They play in a pretty good pitcher's park. If I was to place a bet on which team would have the worst record in baseball, depending on the odds, and I don't have them right in front of me, would be the Angels. The Angels are a team that everybody on there, they're not going to be able to have a pitching staff. Yates was supposed to be their next closer up. He got hurt yesterday. They're bringing in retreads from the 80s. I mean, the Angels they're one of the older teams in baseball. They are a terrible defensive team, terrible pitching team, and they're in a division where they don't have a chance. And I see them being pretty active at the trade deadline, getting rid of some of these veteran players. The Angels right now, I've got it projected to win 72.8 games. That to me is a bargain. The Rockies are about a 61.6, but I think the Rockies are a better, like you said, I think they're a better team. The Angels, I see reasons for the Rockies to be good. The Nationals, I agree. That bullpen in the Nationals, if you're ever going to play a Nationals game this year, you got to play the first 5. And I'm not even sure I do that.
Look at their opening day starter.
Or you play the over. I like the Cardinals. I like the White Sox. The Angels are the team that I think you could make some money betting against them all season long. And you're not going to have the same team at the end of the season that you see right now.
TB, I'm going to throw this back to you, but I want to.
I'm sorry. Trout will eventually get injured too, and he's their only good player. So. Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm going to throw this back to you, but I want to agree with your. I've got the Nationals as the worst team in the league, so I agree with you there. Brian, I've got the Angels as the worst team in the American League. So I'm hoping to find some value there, because I think there's a little bit of like those teams, just because the Nationals have had some recent success and the Angels always sort of seem to be priced higher than the market should. I don't know if it's because of Trout or whatever it may be, big market. Like, I'm hoping that, because I'm going to target those two. I think they're the worst 2 teams in baseball. The Angels last year, I think their run differential off the top of my head was close to 1.7. What is it? Brian, do you have it right there? 164?
Yeah.
Something like that.
It was terrible. And That tells you how bad a team is when you're getting blown out like that. You can win a lot of, if you're a hockey team, you win a lot of 3-2, 2-1 games, but then they lose 10-0. And they say, hey, they were 2-1. No, they were outscored pretty badly. So you got to keep that in mind in baseball too.
So TB, what I was getting at is, see, here's the thing. The Rockies are still likely in the bottom 5. Like, even with a big jump, even with them being a team you want to target in daily betting, even with a big jump, they're likely not out of the bottom 5. So if we have Angels, Nationals, Rockies, who are the other two teams for me? I'm with Brian. I think I'm higher than the market on the Cardinals. They're going to be bad, but I don't think they're bottom 5 bad. It could be the White Sox down there, even though I think they could outperform that. I'm going to go and, I'm pretty low on the Guardians, so I think the Guardians could flirt with it. The other team that I think is in the bottom 5, and this is where I'm going to throw it to you, Tokyo Brandon, I'm out on the A's. I just don't think the A's are a great baseball team. They have no pitching. Some really interesting hitters in that team, and they're going to be fun, but their pitching is bad, very bad. Starting pitching's bad, unless a bunch of guys come up from the farm system. I think they could be a bottom 5 team. So what do you talk to me a bit where you're at on am I way off there? Because a lot of people are high on this team.
I don't think so. I don't think you're off, but the A's are a team. I always like to judge a team by who they're putting out on opening day. So you can tell a bad team because it's kind of like, that's the best you got, and Severino's the best you got. Really? I mean, he's not an ace by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. They have a couple good bullpen arms, and they have a great lineup, though. We've talked about the A's as a surging young team who's going to be around for a long time. I don't like their prospects of making the playoffs, let alone having a winning record. But they're going to have a lot of overs, this team, in that ballpark, and with that lineup and with that rotation, I expect a lot of overs with the A's this season.
Brian, so first of all, just pointing out that Jack agrees with you. His comment was already in the chat before you said that, overs in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Just to go back to like Sacramento, you brought up Severino. He just had a pretty good World Baseball Classic.
He did.
No, so like this is like a thing where it's like, and I'll go to Brian for this one. Guys that just sort of showed out in the World Baseball Classic. Will you fade those guys early in the season? Like Severino's pitching in Sacramento where he has like a 10 ERA. Like he's not going to come out and throw 100. Like, he was all jacked up throwing, I think 99, 100 at points in time. That's got to be a good fade, right? Early in the season.
Yep, I agree. Brandon talked about it, about what they went through, and it was clear. You talk about, well, is that the best you got? Well, that's what I was thinking, and I told my wife, I says, we've got Paul Skeens on the mound, and they've got whatever, Severino or the Diamondbacks Rodriguez. I mean, but that was like the last day of work, and you want to prove to all your teammates that they made the right choice. They pitched great. Congratulations to them. I play a lot of fantasy baseball. I'm not running out to get either one of those guys on my fantasy teams. Let's just put it that way.
But get a lot of Oakland batters on your fantasy team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, TB, you're spot on there, because that is, I mean, listen, they're going to hit. That lineup has a lot of, there's a lot of offensive talent. And then you go, just think about this for a second. Like, if their pitching is as bad as I think it could be, think of how many games the A's might be in where they're down 9-3. And then suddenly you're facing a depth reliever in the final innings of the game. So if you want to talk about like individual batter statistics for the A's, or maybe targeting like player props, I think they could be in some pretty lopsided or just like slugfest type games that are higher scoring. But still, I think they're going to be like behind a lot. And that could be good for offensive statistics.
Some lineups that are very underrated that could make massive production are the A's, and I like the Miami Marlins to score a lot of runs too. Not a lot of household names on that roster, but a lot of young guys who can belt it. So those two teams, I expect to see some good things.
Yeah, do you want to talk about the Marlins for a second, because they're an interesting team to me. I'm kind of a little higher than where the market is on the Marlins. I love Peter
Yeah.
Bendix. I talked about it a ton last year. Brian was actually the first person to bring that up last year
Yeah.
in terms of like what he's kind of doing in the farm system. And they're not I don't think they're a playoff team by any means, but
No.
they could certainly outperform where they're at in the market. So yeah, talk to me. What do you like about the Marlins
Yeah,
this year?
I mean, I like their rotation, and I like the fact their pitching's good, and I like their win total was I believe it was 72 or 73. And I don't do a lot of futures I didn't do a lot of futures this year because I've been burned so many times by especially the Dodgers doing futures. But this year I did bet the Miami Marlins team total over because I just think they made a lot of good moves. They seem to have a smart front office, and they got good pitching. And anytime you got good pitching, you have a chance. So I certainly like their chances to go over 73 wins, I believe it was. So yeah, I certainly like that bet.
Jack Falk says TB swallowing the Marcy juice. That's what that pink drink is. Hey, I'll take some of that. I think he's going to be a great player. I think he's going to be a great player. Brian, Colin says Thomas White's going to be a dude. Okay. So Thomas White got called up to Jacksonville, had a really good sort of August, September last year. I think he kind of shot through the ranks. He was in Pensacola, quickly in Jacksonville, did well at each step. What I've noticed about the Marlins is they seem to be accumulating these pitchers that can almost just be, they're like 3-4 inning type guys, where they have a bunch of guys that they might not be, not have a ton of great starting pitching, but it's almost like they have a collection of guys that can go out and like throw 4 innings. And I kind of like that because I think that's where baseball is headed in general, away from like the traditional starting pitcher. So do you want to comment on that? Because that's one thing I love about the Marlins.
Yeah, they've got a lot of depth in the minors, and they have that ability. I always say the average Major League Baseball team uses 10 different pitchers. They sent Braxton Garrett back down to stretch him out a little bit. He's coming back from the surgery. They've got a lot of guys, and Thomas White is one of them. That is a bright future there. But I do want to point out that management says we got to be out of here pretty soon. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about the teams as it goes on for the season. So let's get.
Here's the thing. So for today, we're not going to do a parlay today because there's one. So here's the thing. We're not going to do a parlay today because there's one game. Typically, by this point in the show, we'd already be at best bets, but this is not the normal show. This will be the only day we don't do a parlay because we're not going to give you a 3-team parlay in one game that we all basically said you probably shouldn't bet. So, we're not going to do that today. I will, however, go to you, Brian. Is there any bet, long-term, future win total that you want to share with the viewers today?
Well, I put this off in today's game. If you're looking to take us, I just want to say I kind of disagree with regards to the starting pitcher for the Yankees. If you take a look at, I follow John in Pittsburgh, a guy who does fantasy baseball stuff. He's very good. He went back and looked in the first start of a season. Your starters usually throw 6 less pitches. By the time they get to the third start, they're back to their season, what will be their season average. So you're going to get 6 less pitches out of the starters today, which means probably one batter. And one batter when you're over under in outs means a lot. And you can get under the 15.5 right now without laying any juice. So I kind of like the under in the Yankee starter I just don't think he's going to be there. Also, for anybody, and I know Brandon does this a lot, or he'll play, will this pitcher get the win? Keep in mind, the first time through the league, these guys aren't built up yet. So they may throw 100 normally, they'll throw 80 now, which means they may not even get to 5 innings. So if you want to take somebody who's like the long reliever for a team, and if you can find a spot on that, said, will so-and-so get the win today? He might be like the Dodgers talk about piggybacking and things like that for Ohtani starts. take whoever the piggyback is and bet against Ohtani getting the win because chances are he won't go 5 innings.
Okay, I'll give out a bet for this game. I like Dodgers. What am I talking about? I like the Yankees on the money line, and I broke it down in my video that's on WagerTalk's YouTube channel. I have a 5% play for tomorrow, and I actually broke down all of the over/under game totals on my Twitter X account. So if you go there, you can see my breakdown of that. We don't have time to go over all of it. And tomorrow we will cover a lot of this stuff. So if there was a parlay leg, I would say Yankees money line. I think minus 117 for a Max Fried start. I don't care if he's on the road or not. And I don't think Webb is that trustworthy against these batters. So that's how I would go. I like the Yankees bullpen better, and I like their lineup better.
I haven't looked at the price. I'm sure it's more expensive than the full game, but I think if I was going to play this game, I'd have to look at Yankees first 5. I just like the idea of getting Fried or getting the Giants only against a lefty, which is what I think I would get if I bet Yankees first 5. Because again, Fried maybe he doesn't go for 5, but he's probably going to go 4 or 5. I think that's like a fair sort of, I agree with Brian in the respect that you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see like a ton of like extended outings from anyone in March and early April. But if a guy's economical and he's throwing it well, and especially someone like Fried, he's obviously going to be out there for at least 5 innings. So you get the Giants against a lefty. I think that's a good way to play against the Giants. They were bottom 5 against left-handed pitching, I believe, all of last year, and it's a lot of the same lineup. So I'm kind of with you there, TB. I will just go ahead, Brian.
Your first 5, you're paying about a nickel more. You're paying about 125.
Oh, that's not bad.
Which isn't bad. No.
How often this season do you think you'll see a Max Fried start at minus 117? It's probably going to be rare.
Well, that's
the Yankees aren't as dominant. That entire division.
I know that. But they're priced like they are. They're priced like they are, though.
Yeah, but if they're on the road at Boston with Crochet going, he's not a 117 favorite. So I'm just
very
saying.
True. But my point is that the bookmakers price them too high than they actually are.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great point. And I think since I don't have a bet to give out today, I'm not betting futures in baseball. I haven't done that for years, and I could do a whole segment on why I think it's crazy to tie your money up for 6 months on a season win total when organizations bail on a team when they're 2 games out, sometimes a couple games out. Look at the Twins last year. But starting pitching has never meant less to the number in my opinion. Listen, I get it. Guys, there's outliers, a guy like Skeens, someone like that. But for the most part, I've never weighted starting pitching less. So again, it's I do think you'll see scenarios where Fried is in that price range. And it's you really, if you're betting a full 9-inning Major League Baseball game at this point, you have to have so many more factors in your handicap other than the starting pitcher. They just don't go deep enough. And I think you're going to see teams gravitate toward almost like what I could see the Marlins doing, where it's 3 or 4 inning guy followed by 3 or 4 inning guy. We saw other teams do it last year as well. So, I'm really sort of, I guess that's my big grand takeaway here. I'm not weighting the starting pitchers nearly as much as I used to. And the reason for that is I think the books still do it. I think that's the point that Tokyo Brandon was trying to make there. The books still do that. And that's just not how the game is played anymore.
Well, the public does it. The books try to balance it, but the public thinks this guy's a starter. And as good as he's been, and he's a very good pitcher, he's not a number 1 on a lot of teams. Let's just put it that way.
Cool. I think
I gotta say that I'll answer Andy's question with the final minute we have here. So come on and tell Adam his take on not betting futures is wrong. I don't mean betting futures is wrong. Listen, I'm fine with taking a position on a team to win a division and stuff like that. That's fine. I'm not going to argue with you. I do think that the takeout is probably pretty big, but whatever. You want to find value in let's say like the Rangers to win the AL West because you want to oppose the Mariners, something like that. That's fine. I'm saying like this whole like the season win total, like this whole thing where like 10 years ago, shows like this, you'd have guys come on and tell you how great a season win total bet is because it's like you get 162 games. With the amount of injuries now and organizations willing to just scrap a season because something doesn't go their way in the first couple months, I can find you a better -110 bet on a Korean baseball game or a minor league game or a game. Why would you tie your money up for 6 months for that? Go ahead, Brian.
That's exactly, your last point was exactly why I don't do it like I used to. You're tying your money up for 6 months, and granted,
For what? Yeah.
You have a better advantage on that than you do for the regular season games. But even if you're putting 5% of your bankroll on that and you're a plus EV better, that 5% at the end of the season is probably 100% of your bank. So on what you could have made. So that's the only, if you can play it at credit place.
Get a Japanese baseball play from TB. It's got to, I guarantee you that -110 has a bigger edge than your season win total. Guaranteed.
If you tie up your money for 6 months with a bank, they pay you interest. The books aren't paying you no interest.
Yeah, I mean, there's just way too much uncertainty. You're just not getting.
I never win.
There's too much uncertainty.
I never win.
You get the Dodgers over every year.
Not this
All right,
year.
boys, we have hit. This was kind of just to come on. We're back. Break down the one game tonight and hit the chat for 30 minutes to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Tomorrow, back to the normal show, 9 a.m. Eastern. We're going to hit as many games as possible, and we're still obviously gonna go off the chat as much as we possibly can. So we will be back 9 a.m. tomorrow and 9 a.m. every day this week. We appreciate you joining us. We're thrilled baseball season is back. I guess the 2-part opening day show tomorrow and Friday for the 48-hour opening day. That is now Major League Baseball. Enjoy the game tonight, and we'll see you guys in the morning for more Total Bases.